Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you had a great trading session out there. Cheers. A nice frosty glass of Colonel Taylor whiskey today on today's show. Big Eb, I know you're driving, so please, no drinking today. Water or soda is approved. Anybody else, if you feel like joining me for a cocktail, cheers. Have a great day. All right. We have a ton of great stuff to talk about. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about cryptocurrencies, which we'll look at. I have a bunch of questions that have been rolling in about the cryptocurrency space, so I'll dive into that. What else did I have? There's specific trading questions, but I figured since one lone wolf won the lotto yesterday, or on Wednesday, $700 million to be precise, I thought, it might be interesting and fun just to do a show on what would I do if I won the lotto. Of course, we all fantasize about it. Every single person here, whether you play it or not, you're out there looking at it going, I would do this and this and this and this. My favorite interview ever, maybe I can pull it up here. I know YouTube will probably cite me for playing this right now. I should have had it all prepared for you guys, but let's see. One guy in Las Vegas said this on air, and I thought it was one of the funniest things ever. Let's see if I can find it. They interviewed the guy and said, hey, what would you do if you won the lotto? And it was live on air. I'm going to see if I can play this one. Apologize.
We're here at the
Oh, perfect. Let me play this for you guys. See if I get this kicked off of YouTube for playing other content, but it should be rather quick. You guys may have seen this one, but I'll play it for you anyway. Full screen. This is the wonderful reaction to a gentleman who was interviewed about winning the lotto.
where people are doing it the old-fashioned way. They're just filling out bubbles here. I want to turn some of these people around and ask you guys, sir, can I ask you what your lucky numbers are?
No, we're here.
14, 24, 2, 7, and 15.
Those are your lucky numbers. Can I tell you do you know your chances of winning?
Slim to none.
Slim to none, you're right. Let me tell you, it's 1 out of 292 million. What do you think about that?
I knew it.
You knew it. Your numbers are lucky, though. Am I right?
I hope so.
Can I ask you, if you won all the money, what would you do with it?
Bunch of hookers and cocaine.
Oh, okay, that's not good.
I have to say, that's probably one of the best live interviews ever. Not quite what she's expecting, and I'll tell you what, guys, that's not what I would be spending it on either. That certainly would not make my list of spending. So I thought it might be interesting to show not just the spending side, but honestly, when you come into such a windfall like that, when there's so much money coming in, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, obviously it's a life-changing experience, but what's more important is how you prepare for it. So let me ask you guys, since I know this is totally off topic and very, very, very random, but what would be the first thing that you do when you look at your lotto ticket tonight? I don't have mine here in front of me, but you look at your lotto ticket tonight, you line up and you see that you won this $1 billion jackpot. What would be the first thing that you would do? I'm curious to see what you guys think about that. Let me know. Type it in the chat. I'll tell you what I think you should do immediately. Obviously, this is once you stop screaming with joy that you just won this much money. The first thing that you should do is basically sit down, remain calm, and start planning the future of how you're going to set up this business entity, because realistically you should find a way to take all of that money, put it through a bunch of corporations or shells, so that if someone were to sue you, that money is all going to be protected and separate. First thing, Richard says, get divorced and hide. I hope that your wife is not listening right now. That was probably the best answer right there. That was great. What you should do is very quickly go and get an attorney and change your name. I know it sounds really stupid, but look, if you guys really wanted to, you go out on the internet, you can go on the web, and you can find out where I live, you can find out my address, and people are so lawsuit happy that if I won $1 billion, someone's going to come twist their ankle in my front yard and try to sue me, and I'm going to get that nonstop. So what you do is you change your name. So I would no longer be Merlin Rothfeld, I would be Michael Jordan. I would pick somebody that is extremely searchable. So if someone went to search who won the lotto, it would come up as Michael Jordan, and it would just get lost in the trillions of different web results for Michael Jordan. So pick a name that you have fun with, but first step is to change your name legally. The second step for me would be to, Merlin, does these suggestions apply to making millions with crypto? Not at all. And the reason for that is nobody will know that you're making millions off crypto. If you win this $1 billion lotto jackpot tonight, there's going to be, I would say, 1 trillion people around the world that will know your name. And in certain states, the gentleman that won on Wednesday, you don't have to report your name. I'm in California, so if I win, I have to say that I won. So to me, that's a big problem. I don't want everybody in the world knowing I've now got $1 billion. That would make my life a living hell. And I would probably do my best to be as quiet about it as possible. So first step, change your name legally. Step number 2 is set up a series of trusts. And I would build a staged series of trusts. This, of course, would require an attorney, and basically put those assets into this trust to generate income and pay myself out of it. So that way, if someone were to sue me, they could only get the money I have on hand, not the $600, $700, $800 million I've got sitting in the trust, right? And this, of course, would require a very good attorney. But to me, that's the first 2 steps that we should do. Now, I love your name too, Thomasina, but here's what I would do. I would change it from Merlin Rothfeld to Michael Jordan or whatever name I pick. I'm not telling you the actual name I pick because I have the perfect name in my head. I know exactly who I would be, but I'm not going to tell you that one. And then after a year, I would change it back because honestly, I like my name too. I don't want to change who I am. I just want to deter all the riffraff from following me and trying to get money. Okay. Now, the second one, Ron says in California, heard to put it in trust as soon as possible. Yes. Exactly, Ron. That's exactly what I was saying. And it depends on your state. So this is applying to California. But let's protect that money because you know that people are coming after it. Now all of a sudden you're left with the dilemma of what do I want to do with the money? And if you're like that guy from Las Vegas, hookers and cocaine. Guys, you're going to be broke really soon. You'll probably just die from doing so much cocaine. That's just a bad idea. That's certainly not what I would be doing. Now, what I would do is I would build a portfolio. So let me show you what I would build. I think I actually had it. There it is. Okay, so you see the wonderful picture as I take a nice sip of my frosty whiskey here today. Thanks, Richard. He says that's why you're on YouTube 5 days a week. No one knows who you are. No one knows who I am, even though I'm doing this 5 days a week, Richard. I'm still a nobody, but I love doing it for you guys. So the reason I put this together is twofold. I've had multiple questions this week about how do you build a portfolio? What should I allocate into? And here is exactly what I would do with the money if I won that lotto. Step by step where I would allocate it. So here is the pie chart. And of course, you see some percentage allocations on there. I haven't revealed what exactly those allocations are, but I will tell you. Now, first, we have to understand the money side of this, right? So let's say, for example, right now, the lotto jackpot for Mega Millions today, tonight's drawing, is $1 billion. They say that the cash payment out of that would be $739 million. So you're thinking, woo, I've got $739 million. No, you don't. You have all you need to help our new government, support them with taxes, which to me is going to run right around 37%. Then, of course, I live in California, which equally screws us to the tune of about 12%, which means I'm only getting half of that $700 million. I know, pity party for me, right? So I'm only going to end up, and the numbers I ran in my spreadsheet show about $369 million. I know, it's tough. I don't know how I'm going to live with just $369 million. But here's how I would break that up, and I think it might surprise some of you. I'll start off with that big slice there, which is 27%. 27% of that I'm going to put in a CD. I know it sounds stupid, but you know why? Because I want to make sure that a big portion of this is generating income for me. The most important thing out of all this isn't that I'm all of a sudden rich. It's that I'm getting income stream for it. So as I'm spending, I'm also earning on that dormant capital, the capital that's just sitting there. Richard says you should move to Texas. I would move to Texas, but since I won the California lottery, I would still have to pay California taxes on the whole balance. Unless, of course, I lived in Texas at the time. And I think that even if you bought the ticket in California, you'd have to pay here. Not sure, but this isn't a tax show. So first step is CD. And the reason I chose this CD is because you can get about 2% right now on a CD. That would be about 27%, roughly $100 million of it. Why? Because that's going to guarantee me $2 million a year. So right away, I've taken $100 million off the table. I still have $269 million left to do whatever the heck I want to do with, but I'm guaranteed to make $2 million a year just in interest. And I know it's really, really weak, only 2%, but when you have that kind of money, that's okay. But it gets better. I'm going to go to the second position here, which you see says 13%, and Brendan's going to be like, no way, you can't do that. Cryptocurrency. Yeah, I know. I'm doing crypto, and there's twofold reason here. Number one is I want to pull money away from our financial system, and I want to make sure that it's in projects that I believe in, so I probably would have a diversified portfolio of crypto. But one of the big reasons why I chose crypto not only is because I believe in it, I think it's going to go up exponentially, especially like Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also you can stake cryptocurrency. So let's say I bought $50 million worth of Bitcoin. I can go on to different exchanges like BlockFi where I have some Bitcoin, and I would be getting 6% interest on my Bitcoin, or 8% interest on other coins, up to 10% interest. So now all of a sudden, I'm getting $2 million a year from the CD. I'm getting $3 million a year from my crypto accounts. I'm assuming I'm getting 6% on my Bitcoin. So I have $50 million worth of Bitcoin, and that is just the income stream. That does not include appreciation or depreciation of that asset price, if that makes sense to everybody. So you'll notice that one of those is about as safe as you can get, a CD. And I'll lock that up for a year at a time, whatever gets me the best rate. I just chose 2% because I think that would be a logical number. There's $2 million a year. I'm taking $50 million, buying crypto, going to get 6% interest on that, which is $3 million a year, and I'm going to get whatever price movements we get. And of course, some of you may be experiencing cardiac arrest after what's going on with Bitcoin this week. All right, my third component. And if you disagree or want to change allocations here, let me know. Hopefully I have those allocations on here, but I think what will surprise you is when you get to the end. All right, so cryptocurrency I've got is 13%. That's about roughly $50 million. All of a sudden, you see a 27% piece, sell options, and you're thinking, what? Sell options? Yeah. You know who else sells options? One of the biggest, richest, most powerful people in the world makes most of his money doing what? Selling options. That's right. We're looking at Warren Buffett. I would be looking at selling options, and I have $100 million in there. $100 million, and I'm selling options on a regular basis. And the reason I'm doing that is to generate what I've been doing so far for a while now, 1% rate of return per month, just selling options. In this case, I've been selling puts, and I'm selling where I'm looking to get 1% or maybe 1.5%, but I would shoot for something that is not really aggressive. Like I'm not trying to hit a grand slam with this money anymore. It's just saying I now want to preserve capital, but generate 1% per month. Amazing, right? If I have $100 million sitting in an account and I'm now selling options at 1% per month, that's $12 million a year. So right away with those three allocations, which was $250 million, I'm generating $17 million a year in interest alone, and I still have roughly $120 million to do whatever I want to do with. Great? Are you guys with me? I mean, notice I haven't said I'm buying this, I'm buying cars, I'm buying jets, I'm buying none of that crap. I'm not that type of person. I probably would hire a personal tailor to make me some really funky, cool clothes because who cares? I'll wear whatever I want. All right, so we've got three slices of this pie down. We've got 27% in crypto or in CD, 13% in cryptocurrencies. I'm going to sell options. This is probably to me be the biggest income generator is being, yes, cash covered, of course. And it doesn't even have to be for the best stocks, Brendan. I could be selling them on indexes. Today I sold some puts on XLE and IWM today. And both kind of out of the money to a point where if it gets there, okay, I'll own it. But I'm going far enough out where I can get 1% without too much risk, okay? Could I amp up that risk and get closer to current price and maybe make 2% a month? Sure. But I think you'd all agree that 12% a year on that big of amount of capital, that makes for a great living. I mean, it'd be amazing to do that. All right, now let's get to some of the final two pieces of the pie here. You see over in yellow, I say investments. Of course, I would still have to have some skin in the game. That to me is about $50 million worth of investments. And that would be using market timing, being very, very structured and rule-based. And I'll be totally honest with you, I would probably have a friend of mine manage it for me. I would probably hire my friends at a way higher than normal going rate. So I would probably say, I will pay you $300,000 a year to manage this $50 million. And here's the strategy I want you to employ. You just do this and this. If you get me greater than 10% per year, I'll give you an extra 1%. If you give me over 15%, I'm going to give you 2%. And scale it up so they have this huge incentive. Because the money doesn't really matter. I just want to keep it all growing. That's the most important thing. So now we got the investment sides. Here's where I think I would change over what most people would do. When you win this kind of money, you're going to have people crawling out of the woodworks and asking you for money. And I think that you do them a disservice by saying, oh, well, you know, my best friend Scott, one of my really, really good friends up in Northern California, you know, would I love to go out there and say, you know, I'll buy you $1 million home. Here you go. Here's $1 million. I think what would happen if you gave someone $1 million, I think they would squander it. I don't trust them to make the best decisions with their money. So what I would do would be something like this. Instead of me giving Scott $1 million out of this and saying, go for it, here's $1 million, I'd say, listen, you've been one of my best friends for my entire life. What I'm going to do is I'm going to buy $1 million home. You have $1 million cap on what you can buy. You pick a state, a country, a location. I don't care where it is. I'll buy $1 million piece of property, and you get to live in it. All property taxes, insurance, and utilities paid for $1 a month. Crickets, right? Now all of a sudden, these individuals who would be on my list, yeah, absolutely, Alex. Scott, I could trust, right? But anyway, I would buy a home. It's still in my name, so this is part of my real estate portfolio. But what I'm now doing is incentivizing them to keep on working, because everything that they do with their regular job is now theirs to spend instead of putting it all into rent for somebody else. To me, that's probably what I do. And then the other side of this is I already have a list of all the people that I think have stood by me, have been real supporters of me, not only just as personal friends, but through my career. You know, you can, I believe it's $14,000 or $15,000 per year you can give anybody tax-free, right? That's a little loophole in the tax system. So I would probably have this list every year out of this corporations and trusts that I built would be automatically sending this really lengthy list, about a $15,000 check every Christmas just to sweeten the deal. But I obviously want to help my friends and family out. My dad knows he'd be taken care of for sure. But to me, that would be a great piece of it, because now all of a sudden my portfolio would incorporate about $50 million for real estate, right? Exactly, Brendan. And it's different here, Brendan, because Brendan says real estate should be part of every income portfolio. I 100% agree, but I think you all will see that this isn't intended to be income generation. That real estate side is, I want to give my friends and family the benefit of me hitting it rich, but I don't want to just give them money, right? I'm going to take away the biggest expense that all these people have in their lives, which is their home, whether they're owning or renting. I'm going to take that away from the equation and say, now, if you keep your same job, your same income, same expenses, your savings is going to go up exponentially, and then you can do whatever you want with all that extra money. Maybe it's buy your own home, but you don't have to worry about the overhead, and I keep the asset, so my portfolio keeps growing. Seems like a pretty good deal, right? Really, what is some? And Brendan says, this is perfect. He says, if you make enough extra income, you can can help everybody out. That's why cash flow is king. I'm working hard for that real end goal. You notice that the way that this portfolio is built, the way that I've structured this is specifically that. It's saying I've got income coming from my CDs. I have income coming from the cryptocurrency. I have income coming from the options. Now, I could also make significant money or lose significant money in the cryptocurrency and the investment side. The real estate, normally I would say is there to be an income generation, but that is where I'm spending a lot of it on family and friends, but I'm stoking them by taking real estate off of the table. And the final one out here, of course, is the party fund. And you were thinking, well, you didn't leave much for yourself. The party fund still is $19.8 million. That's for me to do whatever I want. And honestly, if you guys know me well enough, even if I just won $20 million, my lifestyle is not going to change too much. I'm not the type to go out and buy Bentleys and Ferraris and Lambo. It doesn't really do much for me. I would probably buy one nice car. I would probably go back to the vehicle which I used to have. I had a 1955 Porsche Spyder replica, which I love that car. I would probably see if I could maybe buy an original one or just get a fully custom one that fit all my purposes and needs. But I told you, I'd much rather have a Toyota Tundra 4x4 double cab, little slight lift, probably 2-inch lift, just fully loaded with everything on it. That to me is better than a Bentley or a Ferrari. That's just the way I work. And it says that 5% should replenish though from the options, etc. So, yes, exactly. And not only is the purpose of these first three here, and I kind of kept them in that order, these first three pieces here are generating income. Look, how... I know it seems like a stretch, but do a lot of you believe that you would have a challenge spending $12 million a year? I mean, I'm willing to go out and live and say that most people here aren't spending more than $1 million a year, we could probably easily spend 2 or 3, but without doing stupid stuff, right? I don't have to worry about real estate because that's already allocated in my fund. This is like, I'm going to take a year off and travel first class all around the world. Okay, well, that might, run bills, but it's certainly not going to be $12 million a year. So, yeah, I think that Brendan's right. That 5% slice, that party fund, would be replenished from the assets generating income. And I could put more in those assets, right? I could make it, 40% or 50% of the portfolio, but I want to spread these things around. So to me, Mike says maybe 1 car for each day of the week. I'm not that person. This is where it comes down to individual preferences because I am clearly not that person. I love my truck. I drive that thing. I drive around Orange County. I look at all these people and they're really fancy, overpriced, high maintenance vehicles. I'm going, I've got reliability and functionality. I don't need anything else. Tom Messina says it's actually hard spending a lot of money. Well, I know some girls that would really challenge that statement there, but you start buying really expensive shoes and stuff, it adds up quick. But yeah, $12 million a year, that's a challenge to spend. There's a movie out there you guys might remember called Brewster's Millions with Richard Pryor, and the premise is something like he inherits like $10 million, but he has to spend it in, 30 days or something. And if he does, without telling anybody why he's spending this money, he gets like $100 million. So everyone thinks he's this kook because he's out spending money like crazy, and he's just trying to get rid of it all because he has to. I feel like I would almost be in that particular situation. Brendan says, I could look at myself in the mirror if I blew $10 million a year. Yeah, I think, Brendan, you'd probably say the same thing if you blew $1 million in a year, right? It just, what do you really need that's going to cost that much money in a year? Yes, John Kenny was in that one as well. All right. Credit card miles going through the roof. Yes, and by the way, I would still use my credit cards for everything. Like I told you, I use my credit cards for everything. Buy a pack of gum, get those miles, get those points. At some point here in the near future, probably I'm guessing by Q2 of this year, I'll be telling you about a Bitcoin Visa card that I'm on the waiting list for it. I know, Brendan, I think you have one for a cryptocurrency card. I'm getting one with Bitcoin. So what will basically happen is you're using this card and you get paid, instead of airline miles, you actually be getting Bitcoin to the tune of about 3%. I'm in. 100% in. So once that's in place, I'll be using that card, and I'll tell you more about that. So that's how I would spend my $369 million, which is what I would get after taxes. Of course, if you live in Texas, you'd be making yourself an extra $30-something million because you don't pay my state income taxes. But that's how I would do it. I'm curious to see, did you like my allocations? Do you dislike them? What would you do differently? We're all different people in here, so let me know. I'm kind of curious to see what you guys would do. Some of you probably going to say I would buy more stuff. I'm curious. What areas do you think maybe could be improved on this portfolio? This is just simply what I envision myself doing. And to be 100% honest, I hope that this happens tonight so I can walk you guys through the process. I will probably, if it does happen, someone said if I win it, would I still do the show? Probably not. I would probably take it down a little bit, and I would probably still do the show. I'd have to do something today, but it wouldn't be every single day. It would not be every single day, that's for sure. But I would probably continue to do the show, but the focus would be a little bit different because my attitude would be, I just really don't care anymore. I can talk about anything that I want and say anything I want, which is great. Brendan says only praise the, okay. And here's, again, this is because Brendan has a knowledge of some of the crypto coins. He says, Merlin, this is freaking brilliant. Love it. I would only replace the CDs with DAI stable coins and put them in compound with a Nano Ledger X. So DAI, another one of these stable coins, you can actually put those on different exchanges and get paid interest as well. My only concern there, Brendan, and I agree with you 100%, 99%, that 1% that disagrees is, these cryptos are still they're not FDIC insured. So I run the risk of something happening to DAI, of something happening behind the scenes, and all of a sudden that money disappears on me. That scares me a little bit, which is why I only allocated 13 or 14% to the crypto space. It's still that risk out there, but I get you. Because what you would be doing, I believe right now the yield farming on DAI, which is a stable coin, you can get 6 or 8%. So now, instead of me making $2 million a year on the CD, which you guys can see here is at 27%, if I put that into DAI and then I would be making, let's say, 6% on it, that's another $4 million I could be bringing in per year. All right. There's a bunch of banks giving out 2% CDs right now. I think you might be able to get more. Let me check real quick. The tough part about doing this live, this is where I really wish I had an assistant on this thing. What? Get out of here. They're looking at 0.5? Okay, well, then you know what? I may have to change here. When I last looked, it was 2%. And I actually opened a Discover account because they were giving me like 2.2% on it. Right now I'm looking, and you're right. These are not looking that great. It seems like rates really dropped on this. So I might have to reallocate here. I would probably, again, put more into the cryptocurrency portfolio, which, again, could do what Brandon was talking about with DAI and getting a greater rate of return. 0.7%. Even at 0.7%, guys, you're still making $700,000 a year interest alone. So, I mean, good catch on that one. Yeah, it's not 2%. I just looked that one up. So thanks, Pepe, for calling me out on that one. But no, it's good. And those numbers do change. So, you can reallocate. What I might do is, instead of doing the CD then, in that case, I might, if I'm not getting the rate of return that I want, I would structure a bond ladder, right? And I would basically be buying ETFs that represented different maturities of bonds, and I'd construct a ladder on that, and that would get me more than 2%. I could probably get anywhere between 3 and 6 or 7%, depending on the bonds I put in that portfolio. So that would be the allocation I would change. Yep. 2 years ago, I'm losing my time's gone, Pepe. I don't see any charitable gifts. Good. That's a great point there, Mike. And it's funny because I was talking with a colleague today about that, and he's saying I would put so much into charity. Yes, I think part of the party fund for me would be going to causes that I felt were worthy of it. And I know you're looking at this pie thinking that's such a small slice. The key is this: I need to keep this money growing for me for the rest of my life. Not only support myself, but all those people that I'm supporting along the way with this. Now, that may seem selfish, but still, this little sliver here is still $20 million. Now, I will be growing it. That sliver should be growing. And I may, as I get older, move some of these funds into charitable causes. I would definitely be contributing to certain causes that I like, but not a bulk of it. Not yet. Okay? But that's a good point, Mike. And the charitable gift sides, I think that there are definitely organizations that are worthy of getting some assistance and helping out. And who knows, I may even start some of my own. Koja, are you talking about the CDs or the banks? Do you trust them enough to invest 5 or 10 millions? Well, look, here's where is part of the problem. You have to trust these financial institutions. You literally have to partner up with a banking firm unless you did it yourself. Which I'm not going to say is going to be easy, but part of me would like to start up my own money management firm. Instead of going to Goldman Sachs and saying, hey, is this money insured and protected? My organization, my team would be managing that money. So I would probably hire on some people, as I mentioned, to manage the investments. I might hire on Brendan to manage my cryptocurrency stuff. And Brendan may also have a little bit of a say in my precious metals portfolio. But there would be specific directions on how to allocate it into specific companies and funds and make sure that things are protected out there. Do I trust Goldman Sachs? No, I do not. Do I trust Bank of America? No, I do not. Do I trust good friends around me who I know I'm paying very well to do this job, who are going to manage my money? Yeah, probably more so. That would probably be the better thing for me to do, but I don't trust the banks or financial firms, that's for sure. Let's see. Lottery says sums, you could start a family office, small fund. Correct, Brendan, and that's what I would do. My dream years ago when I was really active in short-term trading was to get to the point where I had a barn on my property in Northern California, and it was about 20 feet wide by 60 feet long, and I thought about tearing it down, rebuilding it into a studio or an office where I would hire my good friends, and basically I would set the parameters of here's the rules I want you to follow, kind of like the turtles, and I want you guys to trade these things for me and invest this money so I can go do bigger projects. And to me, that would certainly be something of interest. I have a lot of friends who are not that market savvy, and I would probably train them and show them not only here's how you manage my money, but manage your money as well and pay them well enough. So, that's all part of the process. Talking about the crypto companies the other day, you show us a company pay 6%. Yes, I did. BlockFi, and I don't think and there's many of them out there. Brendan probably knows more of them, but this is the one that I'm in right now, BlockFi. The reason I chose BlockFi is I believe that they're headed down the right path. They're trying to be more of a financial a DeFi institution, so they're doing more and more in the crypto space. Therefore, the more tentacles they have in the business, the safer I feel with it than not being like a fly-by-night type of company. So, wow, is this mine? No, this isn't mine. These are just different people. So you notice here, let me just see if you see the products. Here's the different interest accounts. Sometimes they may show you, but like Bitcoin, I'm earning 6%. Here's Bitcoin 6%. If you used USDC, you would be getting 8.6%. So again, I could tweak these numbers, and again, if I had $50 million making 6% interest, that's $3 million a year. But if I got 8.6, well, that's $4.3 million a year. So we have a lot of choices here. I'm just a little skeptical. I mean, these are a little nerve-wracking because they are not FDIC or SIPC insured. So to me, that scares me a little bit. But and look, I hope that I win the lotto or any of my close friends. But if any one of you win the lotto, let me know. I'm more than happy to act as a consultant for you. I mean, you look at what happens to most people that win the lotto. Statistics show that most of them in a few years are broke. And it's because they're doing dumb stuff. They've got an entourage of people that just leech off of them and they don't make smart decisions with their money. This is something, even if you won $10 million or $50 million, should be absolutely life-changing from the fact of I have now the opportunity to set up multiple income streams coming in so that I know that whatever money I have right now is not going to be depleted. It will be growing and growing and growing every year. Even if I do crazy stuff like buy all my friends a multi-million-dollar home, that will replenish itself over time. Okay. What else? Higher. Thomasina, you're in. Insurance will come to crypto soon. Yes. Well, so let me wrap up this section. What time we got? All right. So any other questions or comments regarding the portfolio? Any thoughts? Anything you want me to go deeper into? If you disliked it, say it. If you didn't, if you liked it, that's great too. But I want to see you guys try to poke holes in this. Not that I'm saying it's the best thing in the world, but in my mind, and maybe I'm missing something, this is the way I would structure it. First off, change your name. Second thing, set up legal entities. That's probably going to cost you a pretty penny, but you got to spend that money and protect those assets because, man, these ambulance chasers, they're going after people with $50,000 or $100,000. You got $100 million or $100 million. They're coming after you in a big way. Many dumb stuff. Yeah. I love it where I've done many dumb things without winning the lottery. Haven't we all? But, it's a learning lesson, right? Hopefully you've learned from it, and I'm not doing that again. That was a complete waste of money. Okay, let me go to some listener questions since I don't see you guys poking holes in this one. Here is one of the topics du jour, and that is Bitcoin. Right, you guys saw obviously Bitcoin was hitting a high around 43,000. Boom, we fell into the high 20s here a couple days ago. It was really, really interesting to see it drop that quick. Dan says, is Yellen trying to regulate Bitcoin because one of her concerns is it can't track illegal transactions? And also, what is this double spend issue that came out of nowhere? Bitcoin dropping like a rock. Should we be concerned for 2021 and $100,000 valuation? No, you shouldn't be concerned for the $100,000 valuation. What you should be concerned about is your aptitude for risk and volatility. Because I'll tell you, a lot of people probably were losing their minds as Bitcoin fell from 43,000 to the high 20s. That is the nature of this beast, right? I didn't drop 1 minute of sleep watching my portfolio take a huge hit. I don't care because I'm not selling it tomorrow. I'm not selling it today or next week or next month. This is years out, all right? My target is way down the road, so I'm not worried about that. I'm not even worried about Janet Yellen. I think, to what Brendan's point here is I actually think that it's good for Yellen to do this. I know, bear with me. People are looking at what Janet Yellen's saying right now with regards to regulating Bitcoin. And of course, everyone's concern, especially back in 2012, 13, 14, was that Bitcoin is used by nefarious people, drug dealers and terrorists. Again, if you buy that bullshit, you don't understand crypto. Bitcoin is 100% traceable. 100%. I don't know that it's Brendan's Bitcoin or Thomasina's Bitcoin, but if I know that Thomasina did something nefarious, she's smuggling in black tar heroin and selling it on some deep web thing, if I can spot the transaction, I can follow that money wherever it goes until it gets pulled out somewhere, at an institution, at a Bitcoin ATM. If I see that money come out at a Bitcoin ATM and I'm a regulator or police officer, I can track that camera, subpoena the firm, find out who it is, and bust them. You can track Bitcoin. That's the point. right? To me, it's crazy. Now, of course, if you were doing illegal things, you wouldn't use Bitcoin. You'd be using Zcash, you'd be using Monero, or some other ring signature program which allows you anonymity. So I don't think that they're worried about cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in particular as being used for illegal transactions. That's the scapegoat thing used by people who don't understand Bitcoin. What I'm sure they're concerned about is the ability for people to take cash, black market cash, get Bitcoin, and keep that money out of the money supply without taxation. Right? They're keeping it away. It also limits the Fed's control over money because now all of a sudden I've got Bitcoin. They can't confiscate that. They can't devalue it and cut it in half. They can't do that. What they could do is they could dump a bunch of, they could sell a huge block of Bitcoin to try to sell it off, right? To make it crash. But remember, for them to sell a whole bunch of Bitcoin, what do they have to do? They have to buy. They have to buy a bunch of Bitcoin. So I'm not so concerned. What makes me excited about Yellen and the Fed's talk, making this more of a public issue, is if we get to the point that it is treated like a security or treated like cash and get some government protection. For example, more banks are now talking about the potentially allowing you to store your Bitcoin at like a Wells Fargo or a Chase. If that happens, that now needs to be insured because the banks are federal entities. They're managed by the Fed, not federal entities. They're managed by the Federal Reserve. So now all of a sudden my Bitcoin deposits, if I kept it at JP Morgan Chase or Wells Fargo, would have to have some insurance on it. That makes me feel very good as a consumer because now I have some protection over this crypto asset. If they keep pushing the regulatory and legal side, it makes it much more acceptable to the mainstream who's been viewing crypto as voodoo. Just look at Jamie Dimon. Jamie Dimon couldn't have said anything worse about cryptocurrency. Now all of a sudden they're talking about a $146,000 price target. So I think it's a good thing. Bring in some regulation. It will make the average person who looks at Bitcoin. It was a friend a long time ago on this show, and then he got really offended because I like cryptocurrency, Whitey. My friend Whitey would probably look at cryptocurrency in 3 years if you could have it at the bank and it'd be safe and regulated. He'd go, you know what? My opinion has changed from cynical and bitter and hating this crypto asset to, okay, it's regulated and it's safe. I'll buy some. You bring in those people, $100,000 a thing in the past. We're looking at $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a coin once it's that mainstream. So I think it's great. I think it's great. Bring on the regulation. So to Dan's comment here, I'm not concerned about the $100,000 valuation. My target is, I told you, I think last year, mid of the year, beginning of the year, I said Bitcoin $100,000 by the end of 2022. So I have a whole nother year to go. I think I'll be way off. I think it's actually going to be more than that. You could see $100,000 this year. I don't see that being a real stretch. All right, what else do I got? Richard, you have a lot of energy. It's the whiskey, Richard. It's the whiskey. What else do I have? I'm reading through some of the questions here. FX Dissector. Is there a chance for Ethereum Classic to get much higher than it is now? I don't think so. It's kind of tricky what happened with Ethereum when they had their hack, which we had Matt Leising on the program talking about his book, the Ethereum Story, which is a brilliant book, by the way. You should check that one out. When they did that fork, right, they did a hard fork, and now you had two separate chains, and they kept the Classic because they needed to roll back to put the money back in the DAO. I don't think that Bitcoin Classic is making the changes needed to get to the next level, right? Ethereum right now is doing as much as they can to get to that next level. And by next level, I mean changing their basic infrastructure of how they're processing transactions from proof of work to proof of stake. That should streamline things and make it more energy efficient. Sharding, I know. I didn't say sharting. That's a totally different thing. Sharding, which is a computational process which takes smaller transaction pieces. It's kind of confusing. I don't want to get into it, but basically sharding will, in theory, give them 10 times the speed of executions. And then there's also another technology they're putting on top. So they're trying to make Ethereum faster and faster and faster and seeing if they can accommodate more and more volume. If they get to that huge volume necessity that like a Visa or MasterCard has, then Ethereum has real potential. I'm seeing $5,000 targets, $7,000 targets. Yeah, I mean, it could be much higher than that. You got to remember, though, there's 100 million coins out there. So if Ethereum Ethereum's going to be $1 trillion market cap by itself very, very quickly. So, yes, Brendan, I did talk about sharding with a D, my friend, with a D. But yes, I think Ethereum has the potential to go much higher. Forex Dissector, I think that the rising tide will float Ethereum Classic, but once it's utility, right? At a certain point, we have to stop looking at it and saying, I'm just buying crypto because it's a cryptocurrency. There has to be a filter out of the stuff that's non-productive, right? Bitcoin, I got my store of value. Ethereum, I have a programmable blockchain which has thousands of different cryptocurrencies attached to it. I look at something like DAI. I want stable coins. That's a purpose. What's Ethereum's purpose? Ethereum Classic's purpose? It's not really as programmable as Ethereum. You look at things like Litecoin. Litecoin, I still own a lot of it. And I think that at a certain point I'm going to sell here because Litecoin is essentially Bitcoin. It does the exact same thing as Bitcoin. It just processes transactions faster. It's 4 times as fast. So instead of waiting 10 minutes, it's 2.5. Okay, that's better from a transactional retail purchasing perspective, but other cryptocurrencies are doing it in 10, 15 seconds. So I don't know. I think things like Litecoin will probably start to fade by the wayside as we look at what's the leader in each objective. Who's the leader in the programmable blockchain? Who's the leader in transactions and saying, here, I can do the most transactions per blockchain? Who's the leader in DeFi products? Who's the leader in, you get what I'm going here. There's specific ones that are going to be the leader of all of them. And right now, the rising tide is floating everything. Polkadot serves a purpose because it's saying, now let's create a blockchain that everyone can talk to, as opposed to having my own specific one. That's a utility, right? It's providing value. Litecoin, all it is Bitcoin times 4. There's 4 times as many Litecoin as Bitcoin. It's 4 times faster. Does it really need it? Probably not. I mean, why didn't we create microcoin and make microcoin 4 times faster than Litecoin? And now it's better? I mean, we can set it up tomorrow. So it's about finding out which ones serve utility and purpose for the greater good of the cryptocurrency movement going forward. And I think a lot of them will just disappear. I think Ethereum Classic will just fizzle out. Sorry, that's just my 2 cents. All right, I think we see a drop after Ethereum. Yes, possibly. Bitcoin certainly had a big sell-off once the Bitcoin futures were on the CME and CBOT. The CBOT one is now dead. They don't use that CBOT anymore. Alex says, dumb question. Never say that. There's no dumb questions. There's correcting a stupid mistake. I'd rather you ask a question first. Is Coinbase safe enough to give your social security number to? They want that for an account. Yeah, you have to. Now, especially in the US, you can't open a cryptocurrency account without giving them your social security number. This is all because the IRS has been coming after them for transactions. They want to know now who owns what. So yes, it's safe enough for that. The other thing is, remember, this year you're going to see Coinbase go public, right? They're going to do traditional ICO. You also have backed BAKKT. They're going to do the reverse merger. I'm involved in the SPAC that is buying BAKKT. I think it's VIH, I believe, is the ticker symbol for that one. For those that want to know, let me just real quickly bring it up here. I own some VIH, which is, here it is. This is the VPC Impact Holdings. They're the ones that are doing a reverse merger or are actually buying backed, which is going to be a cryptocurrency exchange. And this is backed by ICE, New York Stock Exchange. There's a lot of potential here, so that's one that I'm in. I do have 1,000 shares of VIH just because I want to have some skin in that game before the IPO. All right, what else? In crypto, what matters most are team, developers, and community. Yes, mass adoption is the key. And this is why Roger Ver, who I don't like, you got to give him a shout out. He is a great marketer, and he's promoting Bitcoin Cash, which I'm always telling everyone, don't use Bitcoin Cash, don't support Bitcoin Cash. It's just a venture capitalist trying to make a bunch of money off of Bitcoin. So forget it. Don't even try it. Alex says, even Kraken. Yes, Kraken's US based, so you'll have to give your social there. What else? There was another question that came in, which this might, I'm hoping, doesn't frazzle too many people here. This is from Naum. Actually, no, I'm sorry, Naum. Not Naum. This double spend piece. Some of you might not understand what the double spend means. This is why Bitcoin and these cryptocurrencies have all of a sudden blown up. And I've encouraged everyone here to go read the white paper by Satoshi Nakamoto, because he explains a fundamental problem in digital information, in digital transactions. You guys might remember a company called Napster many, many moons ago, where if you wanted to, you didn't even have to upload anything to the web. You literally installed Napster on your computer, pointed it at a drive that you wanted to share things with, and that's where I put all my music, right? So let's say you put the brand new Metallica album on there. As soon as you turn on your computer and open up Napster, people could see what was on your computer, and they were taking copies of it, right? Much to your dismay, you may have given away 100,000 copies of the Metallica CD without you really even knowing what happened. You didn't really care because it didn't impact you. Of course, it impacted Metallica, right? Because their record sales are plummeting. I mean, who buys records and CDs anymore? It's all pirate stuff anyway, or Spotify. The challenge with currencies is exactly that. If I have one digital currency, I'll call it the Merlin token, and I send a Merlin token to Alex here, and at the same time I send one to Brendan, and at the same time I send one to Thomasina, I've sent one 3 different times. I only have one token in my account, but I've sent it to 3 separate people. That's the challenge. With digital assets, it's easy to do that. What Satoshi figured out, it wasn't Satoshi, it was many other developers over the years, but he put it into one place. He says the system, the way that that's decentralized, and we can maybe do a show on that later down the road, the way that he structured it, it will not allow double spend, meaning if I send Alex one coin and I send it to Brendan, it's going to have to choose. So what happened here this week was there was a concern that there was a double spend on Bitcoin. And of course, Bitcoin immediately started falling because that's one of the foundational properties of Bitcoin is you can't double spend, right? So you guys remember I told you I sent $70,000 worth of Litecoin to my little wallet here. Do I have it here still? I think I may have put it away. Did I? I hope it's around here somewhere. Oh, there it is. I sent $70,000 worth of Litecoin to this little thumb drive here. Well, wouldn't it be cool if I could send it to this thumb drive and then send it to this one at the same time, and now I've got $140,000? That's double spend. So what happened this week was there was a transaction that happened, but what happened was on a Bitcoin transaction or many different transactions, you can set how high of a fee you want to pay. And this individual set it at an extremely low fee, which basically does this. When you send a transaction out, the miners see all the transactions that happen in that 10-minute window of time with Bitcoin. If let's say, and I'm making a number up here, let's say that there's only 100 transactions that can fit in this block of data. So in 10 minutes, only 100 are making it in. And what if there's 101? What if there's 200? What will happen is the miners will look at all 200 transactions and say, who's paying the most? And we're going to take those 100 first. And the ones that are really cheap and don't want to spend much money on the transactions, they wait to the next block. And they wait to the next block. So what happened was you had this transaction that was on an extremely low fee, and there was it's called a soft fork, essentially. It's basically where you get 2 separate blockchains for a second. So the transaction was on 2 separate blockchains, and then eventually what happens is the miners, as a collective group, go with the major one. And what happens, that other chain just dies. And it wasn't a double spend. It was just simply a small, soft fork, which tailored off. So that's why they say after, I think it's 6 or 10 transactions, meaning, let's say Bitcoin takes 10 minutes to have a transaction. That means that after 60 minutes, your transaction's locked, right? But in that 20 minutes, you could double spend potentially, but eventually it's just going to remove the double transaction. So that's what happened. It wasn't really a double spend. It was just simply an issue of the blockchain and how the miners read the data. It's a really complex thing, but that's the issue there. So the double spend, which freaked everybody out, did not happen. It was not a double spend. All right, Nalum says, I heard that the global governments along with central banks are outlawing Bitcoin. Why? You can't pay taxes with Bitcoin. What are your thoughts about this? I kind of covered that just a minute ago. What makes it special here again is you can't shut it down, right? It is a decentralized organization. Could the government in the United States say it's a criminal offense to use Bitcoin? Yes, they could do that. And I don't think they'll get to that point. They would rather have it where they're making money off of it, right? So I'm not so concerned about them trying to outlaw Bitcoin. I think that they're going to come after it until they can get a cut of the money, right? Get a little bit of benefit for themselves, but I wouldn't be overly concerned with that. Because you can't pay taxes with your Bitcoin. Well, you're supposed to be paying taxes on your Bitcoin, and that's what they want to try to stop. They're trying to come after people so that you do pay taxes on your Bitcoin so that you don't get in trouble. 51, and I didn't even get to some of the specific questions here. Let me do this. I'm losing track of time. We talked lotto winnings, talked a lot about Bitcoin. This is from Otto in South Africa. Otto, good to have you with us today. Sorry I didn't get to your questions last week. So I bought puts on GME today at $70 with a stop at 76 with an expiration of March 19th. Okay, I see one small problem here already, Otto, with this. If you're buying options, you shouldn't buy anything less than 90 days out. So in this case, you bought something that's 30 days out. That's, it's 2 months. So you got February and March. I would go further out than this because you have time decay, and time decay starts to accelerate as you get closer to expiration. 90 days is the minimum that I'm buying options at. So let me bring up the chart here and see what I can do for this one. Bring up my TradeStation. GME today, huh? Here's GME. Holy good look. Oh, GameStop, huh? They're rising from the dead. Let me take off that volume. Okay, so buying puts. I actually think you're probably best in a good spot to be selling puts on this one, or buying puts. It looks to me like you're headed for some down south side movement here. Got a little bit long in the tooth, but there's your $70 mark. So you said, and a stop loss at 76. Yeah, I would, to be honest, Otto, I wouldn't probably use that topping tail as my stop loss. It's just a long way up there. You know, you're looking at basically a $6 stop loss on this one. And it's not horrible, but it's still pretty big. You said your target's around 42 bucks. I like it. I'm a little concerned with what happened out there today. I mean, that's a pretty big move. I'm assuming that was earnings. I didn't quite see the earnings, but that probably is what that one was. Let me real quickly close something here. Okay. Let me break this down into a 15-minute chart just to see, because there might be something that's noteworthy inside the day. Let's go zoom out a little bit. No, I think you're spot on. I think your price target's right. I like it. I like your trade here. If you're in the options, obviously you're in the money right now, looking pretty good with the money. I would be moving my stop loss down a little bit and maybe taking some off the table here. I don't know the news with GameStop. Like I said, it's probably earnings, but nice trade. I think you're in a pretty good trade right now on that one. Oh, did it? Is it? Oh, let me see. It said it halted trading today. Let me see. I didn't even notice that one. I used to look at that all the time. Where did it halt? 79, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's not halted now. Yeah, it's still moving right now. So it wasn't. Oh, maybe it was halted for like 5 minutes right here. I think is where you can see it. Yeah, it was halted for a 5-minute window of time. Let me go 1 minute and you might be able to see it clear. Huh. It doesn't look like... Let me go back here. That's weird. It doesn't look like it was halted, but you have these weird sideways dashes right here where it almost looks like it was halted twice. But that's a 1 minute window of time. No volume. There's 2 1-minute candles where it didn't trade anything, and that might have been a 1 minute. May have been real temporary halt there. But normally when you guys see dashes like this, I know it's hard to see. Let me zoom out a little bit. Come on. Yeah, when you see just one dash, that usually means that it was halted or nothing happened at that moment, and that's a sign that it was halted. So, interesting. Cool. Yeah. What is it? Oh, something called a short squeeze. Okay, so real quick, let me see if I can get to this last. I had 2 questions here I wanted to get to. Anyway, Otto, I like the trade. I think that one looked good. Alan, I'm gonna have to wait on your level 2 reading. I know you're probably here just dying to hear about level 2 reading, but I'm already at an hour and I gotta go do some stuff. Gotta take my boy to the dog park before I win my lotto tonight, right? Alex asked, short squeeze. So short squeeze is basically this. First off, do you know what shorting is, Alex? A lot of people don't know what shorting is, and to me, if you don't know what shorting is, it's like saying I have a car that doesn't have a reverse gear. Shorting is making money when things go down. We are trained to think buy and hold, markets go up. Shorting it means you think it's going to go down. So what happens frequently, actually, is a company will get a high percentage of short interest, meaning a high percentage of their shares are short, meaning people are betting it's going to go down. I'll explain it for Alex anyway, just to make sure. Okay, good. You know what shorting is. So what happens is when they short interest, meaning the amount of shares, so let's say there's 1 million shares, and 100,000 of those are short. That's a 10% short interest, right? So 10% of the total outstanding shares are currently short. When that happens, the higher it gets, there's a risk there that an institution can very easily come in, buy a big block of shares. Even if they don't really think it's going to go up, they'll do it to squeeze it. Meaning all those people who are short think that price is going to keep going down. But if I can come in there as an institution and pop price up, what happens? I may trigger a lot of their stop losses. And in order to get out of a short position, you have to buy. So all of a sudden, I make all these people who've already sold their shares thinking it's going to go down, I force them to buy. So my buying as an institution jumps price up, but now I trigger all these people who have to buy to close their short position. You get what's called a short squeeze. And quite often you can see some really, really sharp moves to the upside on that. And Brendan says it's not seeing the short interest. I didn't look at that one, but let me see. You can go to simple Yahoo Finance, and they'll usually tell you the short interest. So I'll show you guys that here right now. So here's Yahoo Finance. You can go to, I believe it's under statistics, I think. There you go. So here's shares short. Right now, short percentage of float, 261%. What? Something sounds fishy there. Do you guys see there's something looks really wrong here, and that would make sense why this thing is it'll probably keep on ripping. Look at the shares outstanding. This means every share that's out there in the world, there's 69 million shares, right? You guys see that number right here? I'm highlighting in blue. Notice down here, shares short, 71 million. That means that every share available plus an extra 2 million are short. That just does not make sense. Well, Alex, it's not just to F them. I mean, it's designed to force this stock back up. I mean, you look at what happened with Tesla many times. You know, the shorts on Tesla. I mean, those guys got absolutely murdered, right? And people who are shorting Tesla, banking is going to go down. They got squeezed at some point. They got squeezed big time because things at all-time highs and just keeps on ripping. So very interesting. This could very well be a short squeeze. I don't know if I trust these numbers. That seems crazy. As Brendan says, you get 10% or so. That's probably getting towards a short squeeze. I've never seen that high. I've never seen every single share short squeeze. I think that there's got to be something wrong with it. Yeah, I believe you, Brendan. I think that Yahoo's got an error in their short reporting because that's just crazy. All right, whatever say. Projected to go to 20. Which stock, Ron? Tried to call spread. I couldn't get it. It's not because of earnings. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why it did what it did, but bottom line is it's a pretty impressive trade. All right, guys, I think that's gonna do it for me. Let me go to, God, I got so many other questions I wanted to get to. Here's what happens on Monday's session. Guys, all the economic data today was pretty much in line. There was nothing out of the ordinary. This is what's happening Monday. Nothing for the U.S. You see you've got unemployment rate for the British pound. You've got a few announcements for the euro. So not a lot going on. You also don't have much on the way of earnings on Monday. You do have Kimberly-Clark, I think, reports on Monday. But next week, guys, you have Microsoft, Tesla, Facebook. Oh, what's the other? Is it Amazon? I think Apple reports on Wednesday. It's going to be a huge earnings week. It's going to be a very, very big, volatile earnings week. So I encourage you guys to be careful out there in the middle of the week, especially on Wednesday. That said, that will do it for me. Again, if you guys like today's show, feel free to share it. Hit that like button. If you're new to the program, hit that subscribe button. And of course, as always, have a fantastic weekend, everybody. I will see you on Monday. Take care, and I am out at exactly 1 hour. Cheers.